The migration data is accelerating. We need to respond now.
I'm pleased to present our successful transformation results. Our AI metrics show optimal customer retention at 95%.
This is so intuitive. My account is updated in real time.
I love this.
Reviewing outstanding performance improvements. Customer satisfaction metrics reaching new heights.
The AI transformation is complete. Metrics show 95% adoption, 40% efficiency gain, a complete success.